Now, let us state one of the principle related to the charges known as principle of superposition of charges. What is meant by superposition? Overlapping or superimposing, all are one and the same. Superpose means overlapping. Here, what is the statement of principle of superposition of charges? It states that in a system of charges, what is meant by system of charges? If you consider two or more than two charges always known as system of charges or group of charges. So, group of charges like this Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 like this. Some may be positive and some may be negative. So, if I consider group of charges, then this group of charges nothing but system of charges. In this system of charges, according to the law, net force means total force acting on any one of the charge. You choose any one of the charge. Either you can choose Q1 or you can choose Q2 or you can choose Q4, any one of the charge in this group or system. Total force acting on any one of the charge. Say for example, I am going to choose the charge Q1. Now total force acting on the charge Q1 is always equal to sum of the forces, so net force acting on any one of the charge in this group is equal to the sum of forces exerted on this charge due to all other charges. That is the statement of principle of superposition. What is the use of this principle of superposition? Principle of superposition of charges helps us to find net force, net electric field, net electric potential and potential energy. Potential energy of what? Potential energy of system of charges. That means I can find the net force acting on any one of the charge using this principle, or what is the net electric field at one of the points. Suppose if I choose one point, what is the total electric field due to all these charges? That can also be found out by making use of principle of superposition. Similarly, what is the net potential at this point? We discuss about electric field and potential a little later. So, net potential at this point due to all the charges, net field at this point due to all the charges, and net potential energy due to all these charges or system of charges can be found out by making use of principle of superposition of charges. Now, let us derive one expression for the net force acting on a charge due to a system of charges. Net force acting on a charge due to a system of charges. So, it may be asked in an examination for 3 marks. It is a 3 marks question. I have taken 3 charges, Q1, Q2, Q3. So, Q1 is placed here, Q3 is placed here, Q2 is placed here. All the 3 charges are kept in free space, that means in air. Let O be a reference point which is taken here as an origin. Why should I take the point O as an origin or as a reference point? Because I want to express the position of all these charges with respect to this point O in terms of position vector. So, what is the position vector of Q1? Position vector of Q1 from the origin O is R1. Look here. I put arrow. It indicates vector. What is the position vector of the charge Q2? Position vector of the charge Q2 from the same origin O is R2. Again, I put arrow. Position vector of the charge Q3 from the origin, it is nothing but R3. Then what is meant by position vector? Suppose if you choose a point P, if I want to find the distance of this point, or if I want to express the position of this point in terms of a vector, what I do means I take one reference point. Elsewhere around the point P, I can choose one reference point. Let O be the reference point. Now, the distance of the point P from the fixed origin O in one particular direction. That means, look here. So, OP equal to R. That means R is the distance of the point P with reference to the origin O. Suppose if I take direction into reference, that means from O to P, then this becomes position vector. Now, vector OP equal to vector R is the position vector of the point P. So, position vector means distance of any point with reference to a fixed origin in one particular direction. So, same thing I am doing here. I have taken R1, R2, R3 as the position vectors of Q1, Q2 and Q3. Now, at this point, that means on the charge Q1, due to the charge Q2 and due to the charge Q3, due to these two charges, what is the net force? Find it out using the principle of superposition of charges. Use that principle and then find out the net force on Q1. How do you find? Apply Coulomb's law. Force, first you take the force between the two charges. That means force acting on the charge Q1 due to the charge Q2. What is this force? Force on Q1 due to Q2. It is given by force on Q1, 1, due to the charge 2, let it be in vector form, equal to, according to Coulomb's law, 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught, product of these two charges. That means Q1, Q2 divided by distance between these two charges. What is the distance between these two charges now? I consider the distance between these two charges as R12. Don't get confused here. R12 is the distance between Q1 and Q2. Now, what is the distance between Q1 and Q3 means R13 is the distance between Q1 and Q3. So, Q1, Q2 divided by R12 square of the distance between the two charges. See, this is nothing but a scalar quantity. On right hand side we have scalar, whereas on left hand side we have vector. Let us convert right hand side also into vector quantity. How? By introducing one unit vector. What is the unit vector I introduce means? I introduce R12 cap as the unit vector. Every unit vector must have one direction. So, what is the direction of unit vector R12? The direction of unit vector R12, look here, I convert this distance into now unit vector. So, direction is from Q2 to Q1. This is the direction of the unit vector. Then on the charge Q1, due to the charge Q2, along which direction the force acts? This force, it is nothing but F12. F12 is the force acting on Q1 due to Q2. So, the direction of force is from Q2 to Q1, which is also the direction of unit vector R12 cap. Similarly, next, find the force acting on the charge Q1 due to this charge Q3, that is F13, force act on Q1 due to Q3. Okay. So, F13 equal to 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Now, I am finding the force on charge 1 due to the charge 3. Force on charge 1 due to the charge 3. Again, Coulomb's law, let it be in vector form, equal to Q1 between these two. Another charge is Q3. Q1, Q3 divided by R13 square. R13 square, introduce one unit vector again to make right hand side as vector quantity. What is the unit vector I introduce? R13 cap is the unit vector I introduce. Okay, that means R13. So, direction of the unit vector R13 is from Q3 to Q1. Direction of unit vector R12 cap is from Q2 to Q1. So, R12 is nothing but distance between Q1 and Q2. Okay, whereas R13 is nothing but distance between Q1 and Q3. But what about R12 cap and R13 cap? R12 cap is nothing but unit vector along the direction of the force. What is the direction of the force? Along the direction of the force, it is from Q2 to Q1. We can also write like this, or else unit vector directed from Q1 to Q2. Similarly, what is R13 cap? R13 cap is nothing but unit vector directed from Q1 to Q3. 12 cap directed from Q2 to Q1, then 13 cap directed from Q3 to Q1. Let us represent this force as F13. Now we have two forces. One is F12 and another one is F13. Both are acting along different lines. So if we want to find the net force, we cannot add it up because line of action of the two forces are different. So we use one simple law or rule again. What does that mean? By the method of law of parallelogram of forces. By the method of law of parallelogram of forces, we can find the resultant of these two. What will be the resultant of these two? From F13 you draw parallel to F12, then from F12 you draw one parallel to F13. Simply draw the parallel, one from here like this parallel to F12, one from here parallel to F13. So this is parallel to F13 and this is parallel to F12. Now if I just join this, the diagonal is going to give the resultant force, net force acting on the charge Q1 due to the charge Q2 and as well as Q3. Now according to the principle of superposition, what is the net force now? Net force is given by F net is equal to sum of the forces acting on this charge according to the principle of superposition. F12 sum means plus. Two forces are acting on this. One is F12 and another one is F13. F12 plus F13. Substitute for F12 and F13. What is F12? F12 is 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. So even in F13, 1 over 4 pi epsilon is there. So I remove F1 1 over 4 pi epsilon as common factor. So what is left now? Q1, Q2 divided by R12 square into R12 cap plus. What is F13? F13 is 1 over 4 pi epsilon which is already removed outside as a common term. Then remaining terms are Q1, Q3 divided by R13 square into R13 cap. So this is nothing but the net force acting on one of the charge Q1 due to other two charges. Here I have taken system of 3 charges. Suppose if I want to extend this to n number of charges, then what will be the net force acting on the charge Q1 due to n number? N means any number I can consider. If I mind, I can consider 4 charge here, then 5th charge is somewhere here, 6th charge, 7th charge, 8th charge, and say for example in general nth charge somewhere here. Now on this charge Q1 due to all these charges, what are those charges? Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5, Q6, Q7, dash, Qn. Due to all n number of charges, what is the net force? So for n number of charges, net force is given by F net is equal to F1, okay, F12 plus F13 plus F14 plus dash 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 F1n. So substitute 1 over 4 pi epsilon naught. Okay, then Q1 Q2 divided by R12 square into R12 cap plus Q1 Q3 divided by R13 square R13 cap plus Q1 Q4, I am writing this for F14, Q1 Q4 divided by R14 square into R14 cap plus dash 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 plus dash 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 plus Fn. Plus Fn. Fn means what I write? Q1 Qn divided by R1n square into R1n cap. What is R1n square and R1n cap? R1n square is the distance of nth charge. Okay, this one R1n square is the distance of nth charge from the charge Q1. This distance, this is nothing but R1n square, R1n. Whereas, what is R1n cap? R1n cap gives the unit vector. Unit vector directed from Qn to Q1 like this. Unit vector directed from Q1 to Q1. So, this is the net force acting on a system of n number of charges. We know that different types of fields exist in nature. For time being, I am going to consider only two. One is magnetic field and another one is electric field. Of course, magnetic field has nothing to do with this concept. But if you consider a magnet, any shaped magnet, in the region around the magnet, say for example, if I consider one bar magnet means rectangular shaped magnet. In the region around that magnet, what will be there? Magnetic field will be there, which is invisible. Similarly, if you consider a charge or a charged body, either positively charged body or negatively charged body, then all around that charged body there exists electric field. Even this electric field is also invisible like magnetic field. But the existence of electric field and magnetic field is true, which can be detected by some methods. Now, what is meant by then electric field? Space around a charge where another charge experiences force. That means, if I consider one charge Q, okay, all around this charge, if I consider small boundary like this, all around this charge, if I consider small boundary or small area, then in this small area, if I keep another charge, say for example, I am going to keep another charge Q0. Let us consider this as charge Q. I replace this by capital Q. We call this charge as main charge or source charge. Whereas we call this as test charge. What is meant by test charge then? A test charge or unit positive charge is one whose magnitude is always equal to 1 coulomb. Look here, test charge or unit positive charge represented by Q0 equal to plus 1. That means the quantity or the magnitude of the charge is 1 coulomb, 1 coulomb of positive charge. So it has a magnitude of 1 coulomb of positive charge. Okay, if we come across a charge of magnitude 1 coulomb, then usually we call that as test charge or unit positive, because unit means 1 positive, unit positive charge. In some books, they use Q dash as the notation to represent the test charge. You can use either Q0 or Q dash, but you have to specify it. what type of charge it is. Here I am specifying this as source charge or main charge, whereas I am specifying this Q0 as the test charge or unit positive charge. Now, suppose if this charge due to this main charge, if this main charge exerts some amount of force on this, and if this charge begins to move, then I can consider the space around this charge as electric field. Similarly, instead of keeping the test charge here, if I keep the test charge here, and again, if this charge experiences force from this main charge, then once again this region is considered as electric field. See, it is like this. Imagine this as a charged body. Now, have one charged rod, either positively or negatively, small space around this rod or charged body. If I keep one test charge here, now if this test charge begins to move in any one of the direction, either like this or towards the charged body itself, then this region can be considered as electric field. If no force acts on this charge, then this region is not an electric field. Some force has to act on the test charge. That's the definition of this one, electric field, and it is a vector quantity. That is why I put arrow at the top. Then we know that all around this charge, source charge Q, there exists electric field. Now, what is strength of that electric field? Say for example here, if I want to find the strength of the electric field or intensity of the electric field, how do you define it? Force acting per unit charge or test charge. See, definition of electric field is different from that of electric field intensity. Electric field intensity or electric field strength. Okay. Only if you consider this space, it is an electric field. In that space, now if you keep one test charge, say for example Q0, so this is the boundary I am considering all around this source charge. Now on this test charge, if some amount of force act, then we call this as electric field. But what is the strength of this electric field? If you want to find the strength of the electric field, find out the amount of force acting on this charge. That itself is known as field strength at this point. Say for example, if a force of let us say 0.2 Newton act on this charge at this point, then what is the field strength at this point? Now the field strength at this point is given by E equal to F by, let us consider only the magnitude, F by Q0. What is F? 0.2 Newton. 0.2. What the value of test charge? Test charge value is 1. So the field strength at this point is nothing but 0.2 Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. The SI unit of field strength is Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. SI unit of field strength or electric field remains to be same, one and the same, Newton per coulomb or volt per meter. Okay, field strength or SI unit of electric field, Newton per coulomb, volt per meter. Similarly, if I want to find what is the strength of electric field here close to this charge, what I do means I am going to keep once again here test charge Q0. Then it experiences some force and it begins to move like this. Then suppose if the force acting on this test charge by this source charge or main charge is about 0.5 Newton, then what is the electric field? What is the electric field at this point means E equal to F by Q0. That means 0.5 divided by 1. 0.5 divided by 1 means it is 0.5 Newton per coulomb. See, I have to observe one thing. The field strength at this point is 0.2 Newton, whereas the field strength at this point is 0.5 Newton. How come it is possible? See, one thing must be very clear. Close to the charge, field strength is always large. Away from the charge, field strength goes on decreasing. It is just like this. Suppose if you bring your palm palm of your hand close to the flame of a burning candle, then sensation of hotness will be very, very high. If you just bring your palm close to the flame, suppose if you move your palm away from this flame, then what happens to the sensation of hotness? That goes on decreasing. That means intensity of hotness goes on decreasing as we move away from the flame. If you move towards the flame, then the intensity of hotness goes on increasing. Similarly, here also close to the charge, I have taken this point close to the charge, whereas this point is at a certain distance, at a large distance when compared to this. That is why here the field strength is less, whereas here the field strength is high. So we can note one more point, all around a charge at different distances, like this, like this, like this. The electric field intensity is found to be different. So remember this definition, space around a charge, that's nothing but electric field. Force acting on unit charge is nothing but electric field intensity or field strength, and its SI unit is Newton per Coulomb or volt per meter. And one more point you have to consider, that field strength all around the charge at different distances from it is different. Then why the name given to this charge as test charge? Of course, unit positive charge has some meaning. If I say this as unit positive charge, it carries some meaning, because unit means one unit is there and it's a positive charge. But why the word test is used here? This charge is used to test certain things with respect to the electric field. That means by using this charge, we can find the direction of electric field. Direction of electric field can be determined. Okay, then what else we can determine? We can also determine the presence of electric field all around the charged body, whether electric field is existing or not, that can also be found out. Direction of electric field can be found out, and by making use of this equation E equal to F by Q naught, we can also find the field strength, electric field strength. Since it is used for testing certain things, direction of electric field, and also to test the existence of electric field, and also to find the strength of electric field, the name test charge is given to it. Now, come back to, let us take up one more definition. Electric line of force. See, I told you that all around a charged body or a charge, there exists electric field. But we are not able to see it. Electric fields are invisible. Electric field, magnetic field, all these fields are invisible. But we have to represent the existence of the electric field around a charged body by means of a diagram. Some pictorial representation is required. For that, what I do means, I make use of a diagram. For that, I consider electric line of force. That means the diagram is represented in terms of electric line of force. Then what is meant by that electric line of force? See, look into the definition now. Electric line of force. Imaginary line drawn along the path in which a UPC means test charge. Okay. So, I consider now, this is the source charge Q. Let us keep this source charge here at the point Q. Now, close to this source charge Q, I am going to keep one test charge Q naught. Now, what happens? This test charge begins to move away from this charge, because this is also positive, this is also positive. Usually, test charge means we consider positive charge itself, but there is no compulsion always to consider test charges should be positive. It is not mandatory. For our convention, we always consider test charge as positive. Suppose if the test charge is if the source charge is positive, and we also know that test charge is also positive, then what happens? There will be force of repulsion, because we know that like charge always repel each other. So this charge undergoes repulsion from this charge, and it begins to move like this. It begins to move along straight line path. Even it may move in what? A curved line also, like this. So if I draw an imaginary line along the path in which a test charge begins to move, when it is set free, it should be kept free, it should not be fixed. Usually we consider source charge as fixed, whereas test charge as free. So this test charge begins to move away from this charge due to repulsion, then all along the path in which the test charge moves, if you draw the line, imaginary line like this, then that imaginary line represents electric line of force. Now, again, if I keep test charge here, then this test charge will again undergo repulsion from this. If it is a negative charge, then there will be attraction towards it. But here I have taken the test charge as source charge. So it undergoes repulsion, again it begins to move. So all along the path in which the test charge begins to move, you just draw the imaginary line. That line now represents electric line of force. So that is what we have written. An imaginary line drawn along the path in which a UPC or test charge would tend to move if it is free to do so. If it is free to do so means if it is kept free or if it is set free, then it begins to move in one of the direction. It need not be straight always, even it may be curved also. So electric line of force may be straight or it may be curved. This is the definition. Using this electric line of force, now we are going to represent the electric field pattern all around the different charges. At the same time, we can also study the properties of electric line of force. Look here, if you consider an isolated charge, isolated means separated. See, we can separate positive charge from that of negative charge. At the same time, remember, you cannot separate North Pole from that of South Pole. Poles cannot be separated. Only the charges can be separated. So, electric line of force due to an isolated positive charge are found to be straight and radial. May be directed away from it, the direction of electric field may be directed away from it, or the direction of electric field may be directed towards it if it is a negative charge. So I can write like this: for isolated charges, electric line of force starts from infinity. Electric line of force may start from infinity or end at infinity. What's the meaning of this? Starting from infinity or ending at infinity? Look here, if once the electric line of force starts like this, it continues like this. Somewhere at one of the point, the electric field becomes equal to 0. We know that as we move away from the charge, the field strength goes on decreasing. Somewhere at one of the point, the electric field strength becomes equal to 0. So that point here is called as point of infinity. The symbol used here is infinity, but the meaning of this infinity in this case is different. Infinity means it is a point in an electric field. Point of infinity means it is a point in an electric field where the net field becomes equal to 0. So, the lines of force according to this property starts from infinity or it may end at infinity. Look here, start from infinity. Somewhere here the electric field becomes equal to 0. Now, this may be the point of infinity. Now, right from here it starts. It is starting from infinity towards the charge. Here it ends up at infinity away from the charge. So lines of force, direction away if it is a positive charge and it is towards if it is a negative charge. Now let us consider the combined charges now. Here I have taken up combined charge, that means positive charge and negative charge. Here isolated. In this case, electric lines of force starts from positive charge and ends at negative charge, and they are not straight, they are found to be curved. except only one electric line of force which joins the center of this charge and this charge, this line. This line only is a straight line, whereas all other electric line of force are found to be curved. So, electric lines of force starts from positive charge and ends at negative charge. This is in case of combined unlike charges. Combined unlike charges. Okay. If that is the case, then how do you find the direction of electric field here? Also, how do you find the direction of electric field in these isolated charges? All that I am going to do is, suppose if I want to find the direction of electric field here at this point, what I am going to do means, simply I am going to keep a test charge here. Now what happens to the test charge? Test charge is also positive, this is also positive, it undergoes repulsion, then it tends to move like this. How to find the direction of electric field in this case and also in these two cases? The direction of electric field can be determined by making use of test charge. Look here. Here I am going to keep one test charge. Test charge is also positive, this is also positive. Now this test charge undergoes repulsion from this and it tends to move like this, it begins to move like this. So at this point the direction of electric field is said to be away from this charge. From this charge it is away. Similarly, if you want to find the direction of electric field here, keep the test charge. Now this test charge undergoes repulsion, it tends to move like this. So this is the direction of electric field at this point. So at this point it is directed like this. Okay, this is the direction of electric field, whereas at this point this is the direction of electric field. Similarly, if you want to find the direction of electric field here, keep the test charge. At this point it undergoes repulsion and it tends to move like this. This is the direction of electric field. This clearly shows that the direction of electric field at different points around an isolated charge is different. It is not one and the same. Similarly, if you consider isolated negative charge, keep the test charge. It tends to move like this towards the charge. This is the direction of electric field here. If you want to find the direction of electric field at this point, keep the test charge. Now it begins to move like this. This test charge tends to move like this. So now this becomes the direction of electric field. In this case it is away, in this case it is towards. So using test charge we can find the direction of electric field. So whenever you want to find the direction of electric field, make use of a simple technique. That means at the point where you need to find the electric field, at that point you keep the test charge, and in whichever direction the test charge tends to move, that will be the direction of electric field. If you apply the same idea to this combined electric charges, then how do you determine the direction of electric field here? It can be determined by drawing tangent. Suppose if I want to find the direction of electric field at this point, all that I am going to do is I am going to draw the tangent like this. Draw the tangent pointing towards negative charge, because lines of force starts from positive and ends at negative. We can also draw the tangent like this. Look here, like this. This is not the right way of putting the tangent, because here lines of force are starting from positive and ending at negative. That's why the tangent direction should be from positive to negative itself. Again at this point, if I want to find the direction of electric field, what I do? Simply draw the tangent like this. So the tangent drawn gives the direction of electric field. Similarly, here if you want to find, draw the tangent. Here if you want to find the direction of electric field, draw the tangent. This is one way. Or else you can keep the test charge. Even if you keep the test charge here, this test charge will also tend to move tangentially like this. That is why we are drawing the tangent here to find the direction of field. Similarly, if you keep the test charge here, it tends to move tangentially, tangential to this curved line. So there are two ways of finding the electric field direction. In this case, either by using test charge or by drawing tangent. So drawing tangent to find the field direction is the simplest way. So that's another property with respect to electric line of force. So tangent drawn at any point to electric line of force or electric field line gives the direction of electric field, at that point. Electric field at that point. Okay. Then suppose if you consider the same figure, we can find out one more property, we can extract one more property. That means wherever lines of force are crowding, their field is stronger. Wherever lines of force are far away or spreading out, their field is weaker. So in this region, say for example in this region, field is found to be strong because lines of force are closely packed. As you move away from the charge, lines of force goes on spreading. Look here, the gap between any two lines continuously increasing. You see this gap, continuously it goes on increasing. So that is why as you move away from the charge, the field goes on decreasing. Up to this midpoint, the field goes on decreasing. Again from the midpoint towards this negative charge, the field once again goes on increasing. Once again, in the region of negative charge, the field is found to be strong. Okay. From here to here, the field, what happens? If you move like this, field goes on decreasing. Whereas up to what? Up to this midpoint. Whereas from here to here, if you move like this, the field goes on increasing. So we can write one more property. What is that property means? Field is stronger if the electric lines of force are closely packed or crowded, and weaker if electric lines of force are far away from each other. That means if density of field line is large, field is also large. If the density of field line is small, then field is also small. Field strength is also small. This is another property. Then if you come to this figure, here I have taken light charges, two light charges. Here we took isolated charges. Here we took unlight charges. Here I am taking light charges, both are positive. What is happening here? You can see that lines of force, they are curved, but they tend to move away from each other like this. That means in case of light charges, may be positive or may be negative. If both are negative, what happens? The direction of the field reverses. Positive, the field lines are away from it like this. Negative, what happens? The field line pattern remains to be same. Only thing is direction reverses like this. So direction reverses for all. Even for this also, the direction reverses. So this is what you have to remember. Understand? For negative it is towards, whereas for positive it will be away. So this is the field line pattern due to like charges. Suppose if I consider one more property, what is that property means? Electric line of force. If I make the electric line of force to pass through a conductor, suppose if this is electric line of force, if I keep one metal plate, then electric line of force do not pass through conductor. Okay, these are nothing but electric line of force do not pass through conductor. So therefore the electric field inside the conductor is always equal to 0. This is another property. Now there are two types of fields we consider. One is uniform electric field and another one is non-uniform electric field. First of all, how do you represent uniform electric field? Uniform electric field are represented by means of parallel electric lines of force. This is uniform. Whereas non-uniform electric lines of force are represented by means of curved lines like this. Look here. In case of non-uniform electric field, the spacing between any two lines do not remain constant. It continuously keep varying. So this field is nothing but non-uniform. Okay. So you have to remember this diagram. Wherever you come across parallel lines of force, you can consider that as uniform electric field. Wherever you come across curved lines of force, you can consider that as non-uniform electric field. Then what about the electric field all around this isolated positive charge and negative charge? Non-uniform, straight radial directed away, straight radial directed towards. Radial means all along the radius. Look here, all along the radius like this. That is why we call this as radial. What about the field due to this unlike charges, combined unlike charges? Once again, this is non-uniform electric field because lines of force are curved. What about the field pattern due to like charges, maybe negative or positive? Once again, this is also non-uniform electric field. Lines of force are curved. So non-uniform because lines of force are curved. Non-uniform because between two lines of force the space is not constant. So uniform field is always represented like this. Between any two lines the space remains to be constant. This space always remains to be same. This is once again non-uniform. So this is another way of representing the non-uniform electric field. Okay, thank you.